Hey everybody, today we are going to go elegant, but we're going to save some money at the same time. So we're going to be making a spice rub steak, and the steak that we're using, instead of a ribeye or a strip steak, which can be fairly expensive, we're going to use a top sirloin steak. And this is a fairly inexpensive cut of meat, but what comes with inexpensive can also be rather tough if it's not done right. So if we just threw it in a pan or under the grill and cooked it, it could end up coming out pretty tough. But instead we're going to use a device that's called a sous vide that will cook the steak fairly slowly, bring it up to a nice medium rare, and it'll be super tender. So what is a sous vide? A sous vide is a device that can heat water to a specific temperature, and then we use that to cook the steak. Now you think, wait, do we just throw the steak into the water? No, it goes into a Ziploc bag, seal that up real tightly, and then it cooks it very slowly to a specific temperature. So for us, we're going to cook it to 125 degrees. Then we're going to take it out. We're going to put some seasoning on it that I'll show you how to make, and then we will pan fry it, giving it a really nice crust, and it will be delicious. So let's watch how we do that.
So the ingredients for the marinade are going to be tomato paste, fish sauce, salt, onion powder, garlic powder, and then we're going to get top sirloin. Now the top sirloin steak could also be called a top butt, a butt steak, top sirloin butt, or center cut roast. But make sure that it's about 1 to 1/4 inch, and then when you get it, make sure that you also trim it of any excess fat. So we're going to start off with the 2 teaspoons of tomato paste, and we're going to add to that 2 teaspoons of fish sauce, a teaspoon of salt, half teaspoon of the onion powder, as well as the garlic powder, and then we're going to mix that up. And then this sirloin steak is pretty large, and to get it into the sous vide that you'll see in a little bit, going to cut it in half and then score it very lightly, only about 1/8 of an inch thick. Do a diamond pattern. And then you see here that there's some extra fat on that I wanted to get rid of. It was just a little bit thick there. Then I'm going to go ahead and smear the tomato paste mixture onto both sides. Then we'll put this into a Ziploc bag. So the temperature is only going to be 125 degrees for medium rare, so you can use just a regular Ziploc bag. Try to get all of the air out, but when you immerse it into the sous vide that you see here, you'll see that the water will displace a lot of that extra air that's in the bag. You want to make as good of a connection as possible with no bubbles or air pockets in there, because then that's going to inhibit the ability of the heat from the water to transfer into the meat. So you see that this is right now at 107 and it's moving upward. We're going to go to 125 for medium rare. If you like your steak done a little bit more, you can go up to 130 or 135, and it will take about 1 hour and 45 minutes, but you can go as long as 3 hours with it. And by the way, this is a Nova sous vide, and it's about $150. So then we're going to prepare the spice rub, and the spice rub has got paprika, salt, onion powder, garlic powder, dried oregano, black pepper, light brown sugar, and some cayenne pepper for heat. So, and you can adjust the cayenne pepper because cayenne is pretty spicy, but this, because we're putting it on as a rub, it's not going to really go into the meat as much, and I sort of like the spice with about a 1 teaspoon amount of the cayenne pepper. So we're going to mix that first with the light brown sugar and the pepper. Then we're going to add the dried oregano to the mixture, followed by the garlic powder, and then the onion powder. And then follow up with 2 teaspoons of salt and 3 teaspoons of the paprika. And then to your taste, however much you want of the cayenne pepper, and there it is. So after about 1 hour and 45 minutes, all the way up to 3 hours, you take this out of the sous vide, and then you want to pat this dry before you put it into the pan, because any excess moisture will cause it to really splatter when it goes into the pan. So that's the reason that you pat the meat dry. It's also going to take off some of the tomato paste, which is fine. And then we're going to go ahead and do a coating of that rub on both sides. And then you see the large pan here. We've got a couple tablespoons of oil. Bring that up to smoking hot. You want this very hot, because if you don't have it very hot, it will continue to cook the inside of the beef and it won't get a really good crust. So what you want to do is preserve the temperature and the doneness of the meat on the inside and only cook the outside. And so what I've got here is maybe a minute to a minute and a half of cooking time. And you see here, because it's very high, it develops a nice brown crust that really develops the flavors. And then after another minute on the other side, it is ready to come off. And then finally, one of the little tricks, if you've got a fairly cheap cut of beef, is cut it real thin. This actually chops up the fibers in the beef, and so that actually sort of helps develop a tender taste to it. And there it is. This was delicious, let me tell you. It is something I'm certainly going to make over and over again. The spice rub was absolutely fantastic. It really developed a nice flavor, and it was great. So come back for more.